The sky over the Somme in October 1916 was a pale gray battlefield of clouds, the kind that swallowed sound and spat out death. First Lieutenant Oswald Boelcke, the pride of Germany's Imperial Air Service, tightened the leather strap under his chin and scanned the horizon. His Albatros D.2 trembled slightly in the wind. He was only 25, but already a legend. The men called him Der Meister, the Master. He had 38 confirmed victories, more than any other German pilot alive. Yet his real mark was not just his kills, but the rules he had written, the Dicta Boelcke, 8 golden commandments of aerial warfare that every German pilot now carried in his flight log. Boelcke had studied the art of dogfighting when the war was still young, when pilots carried pistols and rifles in the cockpit like amateurs. He saw patterns where others saw chaos. Never attack alone. Secure the advantage before engaging. Always keep the sun behind you. His rules turned the chaos into an art, and the art into a deadly science. Across the airfield that morning, a young man was prepping his plane. Lieutenant Manfred von Richthofen, the eager protégé Boelcke had taken under his wing. Manfred was talented but impulsive, and Boelcke had been shaping him into something greater. "You will lead them one day," Boelcke told him the night before. "But not by chasing glory. You lead by keeping them alive." The engines roared to life. The air reeked of castor oil and exhaust as the Jag Staff 2, Jota 2, took off in formation. They climbed steadily, the ground shrinking below until the trenches were nothing more than ragged scars across the earth. War in the sky was a strange thing. Down below, men lived in mud and filth, surrounded by rats and the stench of decay. Up here, the air was clean and sharp, the view almost beautiful, until the enemy appeared. And they did appear. Boelcke spotted them first, a formation of British two-seaters, B.E.2C reconnaissance planes, crawling across the clouds, escorted by nimble F.E.2B fighters. The British machines were slower, but in numbers they could be deadly. Boelcke signaled the attack, his squadron fanning out like hunting hawks. The Dicta Boelcke came to life in motion, positioning, surprise, discipline. Richthofen peeled off to engage one of the escorts. Boelcke dove toward a two-seater, opening fire at close range. The British pilot jerked in his seat, his plane shuddering. Smoke began to trail from its engine. The fight scattered across the sky. Machine gun tracers lit up the clouds like sparks. Boelcke weaved through it all with calm precision, his every move measured, his every shot deliberate. But in war, even the masters cannot control everything. Boelcke was lining up a new target when he caught sight of Richthofen in trouble. 2 British fighters had boxed him in. Without hesitation, Boelcke pulled away from his attack run and climbed toward them. His guns roared, driving one British plane off. Richthofen broke free, rolling his Albatros in thanks. In that split second, Boelcke's focus shifted from enemy to ally. He didn't see the danger above him. Lieutenant Erwin Boehm, another German ace in the fight, was diving on the same target as Boelcke. Neither saw the other until it was too late. The 2 Albatros fighters collided in midair with a sickening crunch of wood and wire. Boehm's landing gear ripped into the top wing of Boelcke's plane, shredding fabric and splintering struts. Boelcke's Albatros lurched violently. The controls went slack. The nose dipped. The ground began to rush up. Below, German infantry paused in their trenches, watching a lone fighter spiral toward the earth. Boelcke wrestled with the stick, but his shattered upper wing made recovery impossible. He thought of his men, of the young Red Baron-to-be who would carry his teachings forward. He thought of the rules he had written, and of the one he had just broken: always watch your surroundings. The impact was brutal. The Albatros slammed into a plowed field, splintering on contact. Silence fell over the German lines, broken only by the distant thump of artillery. Word spread quickly: Oswald Boelcke was dead. In the days that followed, the German High Command declared national mourning. Even the British, his enemies, paid tribute in their newspapers, calling him a worthy adversary and a gentleman. Richthofen was devastated. "I am no longer a pupil," he wrote in his journal. "I have lost my teacher." He would go on to surpass Boelcke's victory count, but he always credited his mastery of the skies to the man who had taught him discipline and restraint. The Dicta Boelcke became gospel for generations of pilots, copied and adapted by air forces around the world. His rules survived long after he was gone. In the training manuals of World War II, in the tactics of jet pilots in Korea, even in the dogfighting doctrine of modern fighter squadrons. Historians would call him the father of air combat. But to the men who flew with him, he was more than that. He was the one who had turned reckless daredevils into thinking warriors. He had shown them that victory was not about daring alone, but about skill, patience, and above all, protecting your comrades. And in that last battle, when instinct could have driven him to claim another kill, he chose instead to save a friend, sealing his legacy not just as a master of the skies, but as a leader who lived and died by the very code he had written.